Alright everyone, welcome back, and we're doubling up on videos today because we're going to take a look at the spoilers from the recent Marvel Secret Lair that the Wizards of the Coast announced. So today we're just going to look at the legendary creatures and kind of talk about how they would fit in as a commander, maybe a little bit about how they fit into the 99 of certain themes, and yeah, things like that. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First, we've got Black Panther, Wakandan King for a green and a white. This is a legendary creature, human noble hero. So that hero creature type is kind of cool. Don't know if we've seen that before, but it seems pretty uncommon if we have. It is a 2/2 with first strike. Survey the realm. Whenever Black Panther or another creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target land you control. And then also has Mind Vibranium for 3 generic. You can move all +1/+1 counters from target land you control onto target creature. If one or more +1/+1 counters are moved this way, you gain that much life and draw a card. Alright, I really like this design. Just I didn't look at these ahead of time, so this is kind of my first exposure to the cards. I've always wanted to get some more tools for kind of a creature lands theme, and this definitely slots into the right colors for that, although blue has a few cards that also care about creature lands. Tatiova, the one that can give your creature lands flying and things like that, is definitely a commander I enjoy. But yeah, I like that it's doing something different with counters. The second ability, I think 3 generic, is a very fair cost for that. It might hold the power level down a little bit as your commander, but obviously green can ramp. You won't have too much problem making a ton of mana, and you can definitely get some life and card draw out of that as well. So yeah, I think this could be really fun to brew around. I would like to just at least try it, throwing in all those creature lands matter cards and just seeing what kind of deck we could brew with that right out of the gate. And then I think in the 99 of counter decks, this is also pretty interesting because you have some artifacts that can move counters from different permanents and things like that, so you might be able to use that to put other +1/+1 counters on your lands and things like that. Alright, next we've got Captain America First Avenger for a red, white, and blue, of course. This is a 4/4 legendary creature, human soldier hero, and it has Throw for 3 generic mana, and unattaching an equipment from Captain America, he deals damage equal to that equipment's mana value, divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. And then also Catch. At the beginning of combat on your turn, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to Captain America. Alright, so obviously the colors are a little tongue-in-cheek, but certainly Boros colors, white and red, fit the equipment theme perfectly, and you're going to want that for your equipment theme. So let's see, the abilities themselves, on first glance, I think the first ability, it costs 3, just like Black Panther's. We do have some equipment that is up there a little bit in mana cost, but can be cheated out, like Embercleave. I think there's a few others that maybe have some way to reduce their cost or something like that. White also, along with red, has some ways to reduce artifact cost, and blue does as well. So I think there's a solid base here for an equipment commander. It's interesting adding blue in. You don't see blue in a lot of equipment decks, and blue does have a lot of artifact interaction as far as lowering the cost of artifacts, drawing cards when they come into play. There's some cards that care about historic in blue and things like that. So yeah, I think this could be pretty interesting. Obviously, when I look at these 2 abilities, the second ability is a lot more exciting, just because being able to cheat equipment onto creatures is always a way to get really good value out of those equipment that come down for a reasonable cost and then take a lot of effort to equip. This can also get around kind of weird equipment costs where you're having to sacrifice creatures or something like that to use some of those equip abilities that we don't see a lot. So yeah, I like Captain America. Like I said, I like the idea of an equipment deck that adds blue just for some artifact payoffs and some versatility and things like that. So could be something interesting to build around, and probably one that I will take a longer look at. All right, next we've got Iron Man, Titan of Innovation for 3, a blue and a red. This is a 4/4 legendary artifact creature, human hero. That's interesting. It's got Flying and Haste and Genius Industrialist. Whenever Iron Man attacks, create a treasure token. Then you may sacrifice a non-creature artifact. If you do, search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Alright, so this is pretty cool. We've got our Birthing Pod variant for artifacts now, which we have on a few other cards, I think, as well. Definitely at least one, because we've got Oswald Fiddlebender, or whatever his last name is, in the format, that kind of acts as a Birthing Pod in mono white, but obviously this ability is going to be way more powerful in Izzet shell, in a red and blue shell. So I already like that. I really like that, it's not saying a non-creature artifact, or non-token artifact, I mean. So if we can find ways to make some artifact copies, and make copies that are copying that mana cost as well, then we might potentially have a way to kind of cheat stuff in over and over. Red has some doubling of attack triggers and things like that. We've got certainly tons and tons of artifacts that we could throw in this deck, and have as just targets for searching up and things like that. So yeah, of the 3 we've looked at so far, I think Iron Man probably is the most powerful. The other 2 are in themes that are really fun and synergistic, but don't always necessarily lead to game-winning plays. But the combination of being in really good colors for artifacts and doing that Birthing Pod thing with artifacts where we're tutoring things up, that's huge. So yeah, I think Iron Man will definitely see play. I think it's going to be a powerful commander, and one that's really fun to build around, just because of the versatility of tutoring things up in that kind of sequential manner where you're just getting something better and better, at least theoretically, every time. All right, next we've got an X person. I love this. I wasn't expecting Storm, so this is pretty great. Storm, Force of Nature. This is a 3/4 legendary creature mutant hero. For 1, a green, blue, and red. Storm is Flying Vigilance and has Ceaseless Tempest. Whenever Storm deals combat damage to a player, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn has Storm. Okay, well, I'm not surprised to see a Storm ability here with the name. Obviously, again, kind of on the nose, but does work with like the weather manipulation and things like that. So I like the colors. Teamer is a really kind of cool flavor win for Storm, because that definitely fits everything she's doing. Yeah, I like this a lot. I mean, obviously Storm is a busted mechanic. It's been kind of shown over and over again that if you have any deck with blue and Storm, then you kind of automatically have a chance to do crazy shenanigans with going infinite, or things where we return a bunch of things to hand and then kind of storm off that way. And try to rebuild our board much, much faster than everyone else. So yeah, this is a very powerful commander as well. Iron Man and Storm are certainly the front runners so far, and I think Storm's ceiling, at least, is actually higher than Iron Man's. I would say just having Storm on a teamer body, or an ability that can give you Storm on a teamer body, is really cool. Being able to add that to any instant or sorcery is obviously super powerful. So yeah, this is definitely a commander I want to brew around. I can see adding a bunch of cantrips, and then looking for those really big swingy spells to just shift the whole board and yeah, give you a win. So I like Storm a lot. All right, and I believe this is the last one. I want to say there were 5, so we'll look at another X-Men next. This is Wolverine, Best There Is. Nice tie into the comics. For 1, a green and a red, we have a legendary creature, Mutant Berserker Hero. Those are cool creature types. A 2/2 with unrivaled lethality, double all damage Wolverine would deal. At the beginning of each instep, if Wolverine dealt damage to another creature this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on him. And then for a generic and a green, we can regenerate Wolverine. And it's got the reminder text there, but regenerate is kind of an older mechanic, so it is nice to be reminded of kind of how the sequence works with it, because you do all those steps right one after another. This is pretty cool. I really find the wording interesting. I think it's pretty obvious they wanted to word this unrivaled lethality in a way where it was kind of distinct from Double Strike and First Strike, things like that. But yeah, I like the idea of maybe not Voltron, just because Voltron is so difficult to make work now. But anything where we can give him Double Strike, start doubling power, things like that. That's just going to be massive. So, the second ability, adding that counter at the end of the end step, green does have ways where that might result in a card draw or something like that, but I don't know that that's going to be too something that we concentrate on and too focused on in his deck. I think this deck is going to be just more straight up stompy and maybe a little bit Voltron-y, but Gruul has green and red, that is. The Gruul identity has lots of creatures that would benefit from doubling their power or just big power increases, stuff like that. And then, of course, we have our green enchantments that are just kind of busted when it comes to playing stompy, playing aggressive. There's an enchantment that will double all power and toughness of our creatures before each combat, things like that. So, I think Wolverine's maybe not going to rank that high on power. It's a little bit more on par with Black Panther, maybe a little behind the others, but definitely fun. Again, I think they did pretty well with the flavor here. People have all sorts of opinions about Universes Beyond, and I think a lot of that is valid and kind of how it affects the game overall. It's valid to be concerned about that, but I will say if they're going to take on something as big as Marvel and IP as big as Marvel, then I'm pretty glad that they're at least doing a good job with these 5 as far as hitting flavors and making sure that they're introducing things that will play into the meta, things like that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment. If you like the content, feel free to like and subscribe. I do have a link down there in the bottom left. That's a link to all of my commander decks that we've featured here on the channel. If you have a commander deck request or just any kind of feedback for me, feel free to leave those comments. I do read those, and I do always on the lookout for deck requests and things like that. So thank you guys for stopping by. Hopefully you got a good bit of enjoyment from seeing the spoilers, and most importantly, keep playing Commander.